Hey everybody, how you doing? It is Mr. Bookman, and I will be reading Curious George Goes to a Costume Party by Margret and H.A. Rays. Please enjoy. Curious George Goes to a Costume Party. This is George. He was a good little monkey and always curious. One day, George and his friend, the man with the yellow hat, were on their way to a party at Mrs. Gray's house. George could not wait. He liked parties and he was looking forward to seeing Mrs. Gray, but when the door opened, George did not see Mrs. Gray at all. He saw a witch. "Don't be afraid, George," said the man with the yellow hat. This witch is our friend." The witch took off her mask. It was Miss Gray after all. "Oh dear," she said. "Did I forget to tell you this was a costume party?" George had never been to a costume party before. Inside, he saw more people that he knew. They were all wearing costumes. There was his friend Betsy dressed up like an astronaut. And was that Billy? Why, he looked just like a mummy. George wanted to wear a costume too. "I have some dress-up clothes upstairs," says Mrs. Gray. "Would you like to use them to make a costume, George?" Miss Gray took George to a room with a big trunk filled with clothes. "Borrow something you like, George," he said. "I have just the thing for your friend downstairs." George tried on lots of costumes. This was too big. The next was too small. Another was too silly. And the other one too scary. At last, George found a costume that was just right. George was a rodeo cowboy. He wore a vest and pants with frig. He had a lasso and a hat. If only he could see himself in the mirror. George was curious. Could he see himself if he stood on the bed? No, he needed to jump higher. George bounced on the bed just a little, but still he couldn't see. He bounced like a little more and a little more. Soon George was having too much fun. He forgot all about looking in the mirror. He bounced as high as he could until... wonder what happened to George. Do any of you know? Crash! George bounced off the bed. He smashed into the night table and got tangled up in the tablecloth. Suddenly, everything went dark. George heard the people downstairs gasp. "What was that? Was that a ghost?" A ghost! George did not want to meet up with a ghost alone. He dashed out of the room and down the hall. He wanted to get back to his friends in a hurry, and he knew the fastest way. He hopped onto the stair rail and sailed, whoosh, down the stairs. "It's a ghost!" someone screamed. Someone turned. They looked scared, and they were looking at George. The ghost must be right behind him. George flew off the rail and landed plop in the arm of a farmer, but this wasn't a farmer, it was his friend, the man with the yellow hat. Soon everyone stopped looking scared and started to laugh. "That's not a ghost," said a cowboy, laughed a policeman. That's not a cowboy, that's a monkey," giggled a princess. "That's not just any monkey," said Betsy, "it's Curious George." Everyone clapped and cheered. They liked George's Halloween trick. "You gave us a good scare, George," said Mrs. Gray, "and I'm glad to see you found some interesting costumes. Now, why don't I take you your ghost outfit so you could join the party?" After the guests bobbled for apples, lit jack-o'-lanterns, and played some party games, prizes for the best costumes were handed out. There was one prize for Betsy, and one for Bill, and two for Curious George. "They were the best ghost and the best cowboy, George," said Mrs. Gray. Everyone had a good time at the party, especially George, too. Soon it was time to say goodbye. "Good night, George. Happy Halloween." Well, it looks like George was happy at the party. Do you know what you're going to be for Halloween this year? Let me know with a thumbs up what you're going to be for Halloween, or do you know? Let me know with a thumbs up. Just curious. And do you celebrate Halloween? I know some of you don't, because you're from other countries, but if you do, give me a thumbs up. Well, everybody, I hope all of you enjoyed this Halloween story, and if you did, can you give it a thumbs up? Hit that thumbs up button. Can you do that? When you do that, it will bring people here to my channel so they can check me out. Also, if you're new and you're into book readings and you love stuff like this, hey, can you hit the subscribe button down below and subscribe to my channel and check out my other book readings here I got plenty of them, so feel free to check them out. Also, hit that notification bell. Whenever I upload a book reading, you'll be notified. But until my next book reading, they call me Mr. Bookman. And this book reading's over. Have a good one, and happy Halloween, everybody.